Can you hear there's an ice cream truck all of a sudden outside my window?
I cannot hear the ice cream truck.
No.
All right. I wish you could. Brings me back. What's up, lifers, and welcome to the Daily... Jeez Louise, wow.
Why?
Are you kidding me?
Why?
I had some good ice cream yesterday. What do you want? I'm a grown man. I'll chase after that truck.
What's up, lifers, and welcome to the Daily Standup by Lifetime Value, where we're giving you fresh new customer success ideas every single day. I've got my man, Ice Cream Rob, with us. Rob, do you want to say hi?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen?
Soft serve Rob is even better. And we've got JP with us. JP, do you want to say hi?
Hey.
And we've got Sara with us. Sara, would you like to say hi?
Hi.
Hello. And I am your host. My name is Dylan Young. Sara, thank you so much for being here. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. God, what should I say? My main business, I'm an executive recruiter for primarily Series A startups specializing in customer success. That's Bayview Talent. That's my recruiting agency. But as an entrepreneur, you're never doing one thing, right? Recruiter primarily, podcast host occasionally. So kicked off Success Unscripted earlier this year, but put a little pause on that because now I'm growing a human and pregnant and like my brain just stopped working all of a sudden. And doing another cool project that I'll tell you about in a couple of minutes.
Fantastic. Okay. Segue master. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here, Sara. Sounds like you're busy, so appreciate you making the time for our little show. So why don't you tell us what's on your mind when it comes to customer success and tell us about this little project.
Yeah. As I mentioned, I specialize in recruiting for customer success, but I'm not technically a customer success person. So I'm taking the recruiter lens. And as anybody who has ever logged into LinkedIn in the past year, you can tell that times are pretty tough for candidates, right? So that's top of mind for me, is just the pain of people getting rejected so much from these jobs that they're applying to. And it's tough out there.
But, obviously we're friends on LinkedIn, and I see you post a lot of great stuff about how folks can level up. And so do you have any tips that kind of bubble up at the top of your mind as you think about this that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah. So something that's come up in the past, it's only been like a month or two, but Christine Ravy, right? She was on here, and she has this, among other things, she has this huge following on TikTok, and she talks a lot about the job search as well. And she comes to me and says, this is something that people are really struggling with, but you're kind of the expert on this. Can we talk about it? We have embarked on this journey of creating this course that really helps people position themselves more effectively, specifically on LinkedIn. And what I've come to believe even more strongly is that there's been this gradual shift in the recruiting world that most candidates or job seekers aren't really privy to yet. And that is that resumes, they're so passé. Most hiring managers, most CEOs, resumes basically stand in as a placeholder so that they can go to somebody's LinkedIn profile. For a couple of reasons, because LinkedIn profiles are very standardized. It's easy to know where information is, compare to other candidates, but also you can go click on the company. What does the company do? What industry are they in, right? As a recruiter from my side, I'm working with that CEO or that hiring manager to find that perfect person for a role. And I'm looking through thousands of resumes a week, and I'm only going to reach out to people who I'm really confident are a good fit for this role. I don't want to give a percentage. I was going to say 99%. That's probably an exaggeration, but most people have virtually no information on their LinkedIn. And that's a huge missed opportunity because the market is coming back. Those jobs are starting to open up, but there's this mismatch where people they don't know what to put on their LinkedIn profile so that when a recruiter sees their profile, they know whether or not they're a good fit.
That was the question I was going to ask. Is you said they have next to no information, and you sort of started to lead into what that information is. Is it as simple as a one sentence? You can explain what folks should have. Is it their summary? Is it in their headline? What is it?
Well, I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. I mean, I can tell you the most important things, but what Christine and I are trying to do with this course, and also some free resources that are going to be coming out soon, is to really demystify the whole thing, because I think that's where people get stuck, is they know that they need information, but they don't know what information, what keywords, where do they go? Anyway, we have all this information about kind of how to walk through all of that stuff. But I think the biggest thing is, the about section is pretty important. And that one, you can actually add some personality if you want. It'll make you more memorable to recruiters, but also having a space where you have almost like a TLDR area of like industry expertise, skills, software. That's one that people often forget. Like even if it's Slack or Excel, sometimes people are looking for that. Certainly Looker or Tableau, put those keywords on there. But then in the experience section, and this is what people oftentimes get wrong, is they assume that just because they have their title and a company, that anyone will have any idea what they do. Do you have any idea how many companies are on LinkedIn and the titles don't correspond correctly between startups? Well, startups especially, but even in the corporate world, because in startups, they just give out these titles willy-nilly and they all mean different things. So it's really important to first give a pitch of the company. What industry are you in? There are some great keywords there that somebody's going to be looking for. But then also, what did you accomplish? What are you responsible for? My God, if you lead a team, how many people are on your team?
Yeah. What's up, guys? It's Dylan here, and you know why I'm here. Hat in hand. I got a favor to ask of you. If you like what we're doing, give us a like on whatever platform that you find us on. And if you want to know when we're dropping new stuff, give us a follow, give us a subscribe. And maybe best of all, if you want to give us some feedback, drop a comment and let us know what you like, what you don't like, or how we can get better. We want to make sure we're giving the best content we can to you and others within the community. Thanks so much, guys. I'll let you get back to the show.
JP, you have recently gone through this process.
Mm-hmm.
What I want you to kind of like butt that up against what Sara is saying here, and is there anything that is still a light bulb in your head, or are there any of the skills and tactics she's talking about that you use to great success?
Yeah, what I have to say butts up very well with what you have said, Sara. There is so much validation in what you said. I'm going to just start from the simple place of, I've always hated resumes. Now, that did change a bit once I began to think about a resume more as a fluid document rather than a static document, and thinking about as a record of my wins as opposed to just an explanation of my responsibilities.
Yes.
That was a big shift because it made me a more active worker, so I could understand more about the resume, like in its highest function, what it could really be. So I sort of had a reframing around resumes, and that was good. But I also understood that the old adage is that talk is cheap. You can sort of zhuzh up your resume all you want. But I was like, well, wait a minute. We have LinkedIn. I can present myself as a three-dimensional person here on LinkedIn, as opposed to my resume is fairly flat. And I felt like I had a lot of assets, things about me that were really great that maybe could not be quantified or captured on a resume. And so that was part of my strategy when I was really, I guess I'm continuing to brand myself, but I was like, I'm not going to come on here and try to be like milk toast and fit as many categories as I can. I wanted to be someone who could effectively attract the type of positions that I wanted, and I wanted to intentionally network and build the kind of community where I would be more privy to those roles, because I don't want every role. I'm never going to apply for 300 jobs. I don't know how people do that. No disrespect to people that do, but I could never do that. I think the most I've ever applied to, the number maybe 100, not even, maybe like 70 or 80. I've just never been able to do that. And so I saw LinkedIn as a great opportunity where I could post content to show how I thought. It's easy for me to copy what someone else put there and then be like, I'm an expert. But if I were to really talk to you about the way that I think and who I am, I knew that if I were to get more recruiters maybe in my audience, people that could be like, wow, I think this someone is a thoughtful candidate. They seem to have things together, that I was going to set myself up for more opportunities in the future. So I'm just going to say it's very validating to hear you talk about your process. And I hope that this episode will get people thinking. I think what you said was very good, as opposed to the resume where you can have the wins, you can take advantage of the profile to maybe put more of those details about what you did. And you sort of can give this more three-dimensional view of yourself as a candidate, set yourself apart. So,
JP, when you say the way you think, I can only imagine that your employer put a premium on all those Martin memes that you post on LinkedIn. That must have been
wasn't that many. I don't know if there were that many, but I wanted. But no, all seriousness, I wanted people to know that I was someone who had a sense of humor. I was personable. If I'm going to be a customer success manager, I need to be able to read the room, right? I need to be able to get people comfortable. I'm not sales. I may have things that are selling, but I was like, let me highlight what my strengths are here. So,
all right.
Anyways.
Well, I think this is important to put a finer point on, JP, is you saying that, you don't want every role. And I think that's the challenge here, and part of the value that we're trying to provide is helping people articulate what their specific skills and accomplishments are. Because at any point in time, there could be a recruiter that's looking for somebody with your exact profile. And if you don't have the right information, they're going to skip over you, right? But if you are able to line up with somebody or a role where you have the industry expertise, you have the exact skills that they're looking for, the right leadership experience, not only are you going to excel in that role, but you're also going to have more leverage in negotiations because they need you, because you're perfect for that position. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's just a huge missed opportunity, and hoping to help people change it.
Can I put a finishing touch on that?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Because when you said negotiation, you're speaking my language here. For me, I feel like I apply to jobs every day because I'm a consultant. So I'm constantly applying for new projects. I'm constantly selling myself. I also have been rejected a ton of times, right? So that's fine. That's just part of the gig. And I feel like it's been happening to me since I was in college. What I will say is, and I mean for jobs, okay, probably other things too, but jobs specifically. I used to fire off hundreds of resumes every day, and was just
not the way to do it.
No, totally. I didn't know. I'm like 20, 21, 22
right,
years old, right? And I was getting rejected from everything because, mostly because I didn't know what I wanted, and that was like really evident in my interviews. My point is to say what I've learned through all this failure is that things changed for me when I realized that I had to see myself as an enterprise. I had to see myself as somebody who could give positive ROI back to the company. And that's how I took things like, for example, JP brought up a good point, being able to read the room. And I started to challenge myself to say, okay, well, how do I quantify that? And then how do I take that quantification and how do I turn that into positive ROI for the company? How do I show that every $1 you put in the Rob machine, you get $2 back, right? And it was a really useful framework for me to. I mean, that's what we do in customer success, right? JP, you said we're not in sales. Sure, that's fine. If you want to, we can have that debate.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to.
But my point is, we do have to show that there's positive ROI on the investment in ourselves, right? Otherwise, it's hard to justify our jobs.
You have to sell yourself. That's different than being the temperament of being in sales. That's what I was just.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
That's our time, Sarah, but this is a phenomenal topic. There's a ton of good nuggets that came out of this, very specifically. I love what you said about there's somebody out there who's looking for your exact profile, and it's just a matter of whether they know you're the fit. That is so phenomenal, and it is such a positive note for folks who are just getting absolutely crushed in the job search right now. So I love that. I love that you finally came on. I've been begging you, and so I'm glad you finally made it. Can't wait to have you back in the future.
Now.
50% is good enough. You did great.
50% is more than we have to offer.
Come back when this project is ready. Come back and tell us when it's launching so we can help you promote it. Would love to have you back in the future, but for now we got to say goodbye.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You've been listening to the Daily Standup by Lifetime Value. Please note that the views expressed in these conversations are attributed only to those individuals on this recording and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of their respective employers. For all inquiries, please reach out via email to dylan@lifetimevaluemedia.com. Find us on YouTube at Lifetime Value and find us on the socials at Lifetime Value Media. Until next time.